What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nerds and Nachos. Happy New Year. It's the new year. It's the first episode of the new year. Last week we had our Christmas episode and no, not our Christmas episode, our last episode of the year where we had our year in review. And this week we're back to it. We're back talking about normal stuff. Before we go any further, I do want to thank our patrons, Sarah, Kate, Ian, Jake, Jenny, and Grayson. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I could not do this show without you. The more people we get, the more money I get to put in the show, the better it looks, the better it sounds, the better everything is. Now, with that being said, how has your week been? Mine's been pretty good. Over the new year, I mostly just worked. The job that I had the 31st and the 1st off. So it's not very often in a week that you get like 2 Mondays, and then one of those Mondays is also Friday. But, it happened. It was okay. It was a okay week. We rang in the new year resting because we were not feeling the best that day. But we still rang in the new year, had a good time. Mostly watching Scrubs and just hanging out, getting ready for that Scrubs reboot. I'm not gonna lie to you. But man, that's all I've got. That's all I've got for my week. I hope yours has been good and eventful and fun. But what am I talking about this week? So what I'm going to talk about is no secret. It is Magic players are just notoriously bad at evaluating cards. It's not a secret. No, everyone knows this. While you right there behind the camera might be good, you might be good at it. I don't know. Most of us are pretty fucking terrible. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 3 cards that I think were evaluated pretty poorly in pre-sale and before the paper version of the card was able to be used and played with. And then we're going to talk about 3 cards that I think were evaluated correctly before they were released and have only gotten better as the releases have come out. So, starting off, it's going to be Old Gnawbone. I know what you're thinking. A 7-mana 7/7 that gives you 7 treasures when it connects. Who thought this was bad? Well, apparently a lot of people when the card was first revealed. Now, this card has been climbing in price ever since it first came out in, oh god, I don't remember, 21. I think 2021 is when we got this. It was Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It was the green mythic dragon. And its pre-sale amount, if I remember correctly, and I'm having a hard time finding this information because TCG Player, the furthest back it goes is like a year. But I remember Old Gnawbone was pre-sailing for like $10. Now that's not an insignificant amount of money to a lot of people. Like if you're building a budget deck, $10, that's a lot of money. However, this card has stayed in the 30 to 50 range ever since then. I remember seeing this card on pre-sale on Card Kingdom, and I thought, man, I really want this card, but I'm not going to buy the single just yet. Like, I will. It's not like people aren't really super hyped about it. So I'll just like they're not gonna know like what to do with this card. So I'll sit on this, I'll wait, and then I'll pick it up later, or maybe I'll pull it from a pack because I love cracking packs, dude. I can't stop. So I waited, and unfortunately, about 2 weeks after the set came out, it had shot up from like $10 to $15 to 30 to 50, depending on the version. Now the ampersand has always been more expensive. I'm looking at it right now, and I believe it's currently sitting at like 157. Yeah, the ampersand promo. The full art version is like $50 right now, and then the secret layer drop of it is at 102. So this is not a cheap card, and it shouldn't be. It's very good. Especially in green, you're going to be able to hit 7 mana very quickly, and then it turns all your creatures into treasure factories. I personally run this in my Ognis the Dragon's Lash deck because I can give it haste and I can swing out, and I'm then going to make just tons and tons and tons of treasure. So to me, this one wasn't evaluated very well from the start. This is a powerhouse card. This is and should be a game ender because it's going to give you a lot of mana, and it costs 7 mana. So it's the return on investment on it should be there. You should be winning the game for this much mana. That brings me to our next card. Our next card is Ashiok Wicked Manipulator. This is the 3 generic 2 black Ashiok. Legendary Planeswalker. All the fun stuff starts with 5 loyalty. If you would pay life while your library has at least that many cards in it, exile that many cards from the top of your library instead. +1, look at the top 2 cards of your library, exile one of them and put the other one into your hand. -2, create 2 black 1/1 nightmare creature tokens with at the beginning of combat on your turn. If a card was put into exile this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this token. And -7, target player exiles the top X cards of their library, where X is the total mana value of cards you own in exile. When this card was revealed for Wilds of Eldraine, people went crazy for this thing. And I remember thinking, man, that's bad. This is a bad card. And I was right. I was vindicated after it came out, but this card was pre-sailing for like close to $50. It was running so high. It was hard to get a pre-sale copy of this card because we all got trapped in that idea of, oh, I'm not going to lose life. I'll just lose cards. Not really remembering that cards are the number 1 resource in the game, and losing them is pretty bad, especially in Standard, where this card saw most of its play, if it saw any of it. There hasn't been anything printed in the last Standard rotations in Standard that are gonna get your cards out of exile ever. I think the only one that ever comes to mind is Squee, that can be cast from exile, and that's why it pairs really well with Food Chain. But Ashiok, man, it was just bad. And once the paper version of this released, everyone saw, oh, losing cards instead of life is bad, because let me tell you, the only life point that matters is that last one. You can win. A win at 1 is the same as a win at 1,000,000,000. You are gonna win the game, but you need cards to do that. And it's not even a good mill strategy. As a mill enjoyer myself, that -7, it's going to take 2 turns. You have to be running really, really high mana value stuff in your deck and hope that you're exiling it off the top and not just hitting lands. You have to pair it with things that are going to cost you life. It's just not a good card, and was not a good card even when it was announced. The next card I want to talk about is one that I feel slightly vindicated for. That card is Planetarium of Wan Shi Tong. This is a 6-cost legendary artifact. Pay 1, tap it, scry 2. Whenever you scry or surveil, look at the top card of your library. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Do this only once each turn. Oh man, here's my issue with this card. Because when I first saw it, I was like, damn, that sucks. That's 7 mana to scry 2 and maybe cast something. It's slightly better in Commander, but this is another thing. Like, I looked at its sale information and like price tracking on TCG Player, and man, did this thing, it spiked at around $12. But I remember, even in my own pod, I had a lot of people who were very excited about this card, thought it was the most broken thing. It was a what was it? A legal legend, another form of omniscience. And that, I mean, kinda, but not really. The issue that I have with it is because it costs so much mana, in most formats, by the time you get this down, it's not doing anything that you should be working towards closing out the game, and it's not doing this. If you're at a point where you can play this and activate it immediately, you're scrying 2, you're maybe casting something for free, maybe you're getting something off the top that you scried that is good. like Omniscience or something that's going to draw you cards so that you can continue to use Wan Shi Tong. I don't know, but it has too many restrictions. The first one for me is it costs 6, and the second one is you can only do this once each turn. Now, while you can do this on your opponent's turns, you can't do this over and over and over to consistently use the ability to cast things for free. It is essentially kind of a fixed omniscience, but it's just not a good card. It's not a good card, guys. I've never seen I haven't seen a person play this card or even talk about it since it was released and people have been able to use it in paper. Getting your hands on a card can really change how you feel about it. Now we are going to move on to the 3 cards that I want to talk about that I think were very much evaluated correctly. Number 1, I'm going to try to do this in set order. And these are all actually from this year. Or not from this year, but from last year. Number 1's going to be the Aetherspark. This is a legendary artifact planeswalker equipment. It's the most typings I've ever seen. Costs 4 generic mana. As long as the Aetherspark is attached to a creature, it can't be attacked and has whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Aetherspark. Then you can +1 it, attach it, you put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. -5, draw 2 cards. -10, add 10 mana of any one color. I will tell you right now, I am not good at card evaluation. I was right about 2 of them. Okay, I was right about 2 of these cards. That was Ashiok and Planetarium. The Aetherspark, I thought also trash. I thought it was trash. I hated it, didn't want to see it. I thought, man, this card fucking sucks. I don't want to play with it. I was wrong. So what you do with this one and what really, really helped the Aetherspark is Cloud from the Final Fantasy set. Not the 3-color Cloud, but the mono white Cloud. He gets more and more and more equipment, gets bigger. You get to use the 10 mana more often. And since it's a planeswalker that can't essentially be attacked unless it is removed from the creature, it's going to cost more resources to get to. So, yeah, I'll admit, I was wrong about this one. I thought this one was going to be trash, but the community seemed very excited about this card, and they were right. Next, I am going to talk about, it's fitting that I talked about Cloud, because we are going to be talking about someone else from Final Fantasy. That's right, we are going to be talking about Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier, and his backside, Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel. So on the front side, Fabled Soldier is for 2 and a black, a legendary creature, human avatar soldier. He is a 3/3. Whenever he enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature if you do draw a card. And whenever another creature you control dies, it has a Blood Artist effect. Target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. But if you do that 4 times, you transform him. And on the backside is Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel. It is a flying 5/5 with Supernova. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, you get an emblem. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. So Blood Artist is good, and Blood Artist as an emblem and unable to be gotten rid of is even better. So Sephiroth, immediately when revealed, everyone was like, this is the bomb. That, like, this thing is crazy. This is a bomb in this set. It is what Aristocrat decks have been begging for without even knowing it. This is one of the best cards. And they were absolutely correct. It's still sitting at a very high price tag, depending on which one you want to go for. I think the cheapest version that I'm seeing right now is $25. And that, I think, is just for, like, the basic version. Every other version jumps immediately. This card is stupid powerful. It is a Blood Artist at its worst, and at its best, it is you keep killing him and recurring him, transforming him to get more and more and more emblems until you are machine gunning down the table with Sephiroth's effects and that emblem's effects. This card's absolutely insane, and everyone was right to assume that it was crazy. The last one that we're going to talk about is actually from the last set of the year, and that is honestly, I think, the only blue card on here. And we're talking about Wan Shi Tong Librarian. This is a for X and 2 blue, a legendary creature bird spirit. It's a 1/1 flash, flying, vigilance. Whenever Wan Shi Tong enters, put X +1/+1 counters on him, then draw half X cards rounded down. Whenever an opponent searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on Wan Shi Tong and draw a card. I don't have to tell you why this card's absolutely insane and bonkers good. In Commander, people are searching their libraries like crazy. They're honestly doing it now more in Standard too, with the addition of Shocklands and all kinds of new fetches. I think Fabled Passage is still Standard legal because that came out in Bloomburrow, but now Evolving Wilds and Myriad Landscape are being, I think Myriad is being reprinted into Standard, but I know Evolving Wilds was. And look, it's not a good one, and it's not what you think of when you think of a fetch land, but it is a fetch land. You are cracking the land to go search for another card. You can't go get them, but you are still going to be able to benefit off of Wan Shi Tong. That X can be 0, and you can just cast him for 2 blue. He'll come in, get no counters, you'll draw no cards, but then if you're doing it in response to a search, he'll get a counter, you'll draw a card. It works very much like Archivist of Ogma, but I believe Archivist has a restriction on it. It does not. Archivist of Ogma does not, but it works exactly like that, where instead of gaining a life, you're getting a larger and larger flying beater, which can help close out games. I know CDH is seeing Wan Shi Tong a lot because there's so many tutors in there, and depending on how tutor heavy your meta is, this card, Wan Shi Tong, is not going to be the best for you, but it is still a very powerful, very, very strong card. But man, that is all I have got. You know, I am not immune to evaluating cards wrong. I'm not going to tell you that I'm perfect at it. I've been right every single time. I wasn't. I was wrong about Gnawbone. I thought no one was going to figure out that Gnawbone was good. I was wrong about the Ether Spark. And I've been wrong about other cards, and I'll be wrong about other cards in the future too. Shit, you will too. It's fine. It's how it works. Without having the card in your hand, you're never going to know exactly how good a card is. And honestly, if a card's bad on its face, it doesn't mean that it is. If you're not creative enough, or if you're creative enough, you can't make it good. Let's look at my Scarlet Spider Kane deck. On its face, he's a really bad card, but that deck I have worked really hard on and tried to be creative enough with that it's actually fairly decent. It would be better if I just ran it in Grixis as a Green Goblin deck, but hey, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to run my boy Kane, so hey, that's neither here nor there. But until you have the cards in your hand, you're never going to know how to manipulate them and to make them better, or what really their drawbacks are. So I think it would be better if we, instead of pre-ordering products like crazy and pre-ordering singles and needlessly overinflating prices before the cards have come out, before we know, is this card even gonna be any good, we just take a moment and wait for the card to come out, play with it a little, figure out how it works, and then move on from there. But thank you guys so much for listening and for watching over here on YouTube. If you want to support the show, head on over to jankmats.com and use code NERDSNACHOS at checkout. It gets you 10% off any order, whatever you want to buy. You want to buy a Girl Pod playmat, you want to buy a Howling Salt Mine playmat, you want to buy Trying Casually, whoever you want to buy, use my code, you'll get 10% off, and 10% goes back to support the show. All of that money gets put into more equipment for the show or more food for my cats. Their hunger never ceases. They want more food. Help me feed them. That's all I'm asking of you. But if you're in the mood for a hydration blend, caffeination blend, you want your caffeine, but you don't want to go through all the trouble of making coffee in the morning. Maybe coffee's not for you. Maybe you're an energy drink person. Head on over to w.gg and you can use code NACHOS there for 10% off your order. Again, it's the same thing. All of that money goes back to support the show as well as help feed my cats. Because if you were to listen to them, they've never seen food in their entire lives. If you want to support the show in a different way, you don't want to go to Jake Mats, you don't want to go to Dubby, head on over to Patreon. Patreon will get you slightly early access to everything. I work 2 jobs, and so it's hard for me to get everything out early, but it does help support the show. You get cool stuff when I send it to you, like when you sign up. At $5 and above, you get zines sent to you every single month. Let me actually grab, I have a envelope of all the master zines. I've been doing this for 15 months. January will be the 16th. I've got all the masters right here. Nothing ever gets repeated. I always have something new and something fun to stay in there, and I redo them and send them off to you so that you have a nice fun little piece of physical media to hang on to. If you do $10 and above, it gets you a set of proxies sent to you every 3 months. Sometimes I'm good about it. Sometimes I get really overwhelmed and I don't send them out on time. I always apologize. The next set was supposed to come out in December, but it got life got really expensive in December and very hectic, so I was unable to make them. So our next set is going to be coming out in March, and be some cool cards in the March one. There'll be some cool cards. So keep an eye out for those, and if you want to make sure that you get those proxies, make sure you sign up in either in February, so that way, or yeah, in February, stay through March. That way, I know that you're there. If you start too late in March, like I would tell you to start in March, but if you start too late, I can't guarantee that you get them. So that's neither here nor there. I'm rambling at this point. If you want to support the show, but you don't want to give me your hard-earned money, you want the corporations to give me their money, as it absolutely should be. Head on over. If you're on Spotify or Amazon Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, give us a listen and then give us a 5-star glowing review. That is all I can ask of you, and that helps the algorithm push us to other people. It lets them know, hey, I like Magic the Gathering podcast, so you'll probably like this one too. If you're over here on YouTube, giving us a thumbs up and a subscribe after watching the video, I'm not going to ask you to like it before you watch it. I mean, here, we're at the end of the video, but give us a like and a subscribe. That helps us immensely, pushes us further. It gets us recommended to more people. So thank you all so much for listening, and I hope that you have a great week.